I got an email from LinkedIn this week that was congratulating me on reaching a 15-year milestone. That's right, listeners. I have been on LinkedIn for 15 years. What's that journey been like? More importantly, what can you learn from my journey so that you don't make the same mistakes that I had? Because I'm going to share in today's episode the things that I wish I'd known, both as an employee creator and a business owner trying to grow their business using LinkedIn. Maybe you're just starting out. This is going to fast track your success. Maybe you can relate to parts of this journey if you've had an account for a long time and haven't been really getting the most out of it. No matter where you are in your journey, there's going to be something for everyone in here. But yeah, 15 years. Can't believe I made it this far. It is crazy to think about. My journey started on LinkedIn in 2009 is when I set up my LinkedIn profile, and I was trying to remember why. And the answer came to me when I went in and downloaded the archive of my connections, which you can do if you go into settings on LinkedIn, and it will give you a list of everybody that you're connected with, and it's sorted in date order. And if you go all the way back to the beginning, who did I discover was my very first connection? That was none other than, drumroll, my mom. That's right, listeners. I got started on LinkedIn because of my mom. Now, I'm probably certain that there are lots of people out there that have a similar story. And to be honest, I don't know why I did it, because if I look at the connections list, I connected with about 20 people around that time. I had my mom, I had one of my good friends, I had my partner, Lil, and that's about it. There wasn't too much more to it around that time. I pretty much just connected with a few people that I knew, and then I basically left LinkedIn to gather some dust for the next 3 years. So the first lesson that I've learned in my 15 years on LinkedIn is it's consistent action and persistency over the long term that gets you the best results. So if you have got a LinkedIn profile and it's just gathering dust like mine did for 3 years, then dust it off and time to get back in the game, because you will never regret taking these actions to build an amazing community, especially if you are using social media to grow your business. These days, things are much harder than what it was back in the beginning. LinkedIn was nowhere near as crowded. We don't have the restrictions that we have on us now with things like connection limits. There's no time like today to get started. Like that saying goes, best time to plant a tree 20 years ago, second best time is today. And that applies to LinkedIn as well. So 2009, got started, a bit of a false start. So fast forward to 2012. And after that big gap, I got active, which, having a look at my profile, aligns with when I was going for a particular job. So I have a feeling that I updated it for that. Nothing more to it, but went on a bit of a connecting spree with people that worked in the industry that I was in at that time. No real signs of content or anything along those lines. Hadn't discovered the power of that yet. When did I discover the power of creating content and building community? Fast forward now to 2015. I just started my new job. I got that job using LinkedIn, which is how we all saw LinkedIn back then. 10 years ago, it was a job seekers platform. And so I turn up at my new job, and it's a new industry. I have no existing customers that I've ever worked with before. So I'm right in that deep end. And my boss comes to me and he says, Michelle, here's your customer list. 80 customers spread around Australia, which is the same size as the US, 10,000 ingredients that I couldn't even pronounce, had no idea what they did. I didn't have a chemistry background, and I couldn't even pronounce them. And not knowing anyone and knowing what Sydney traffic's like, so think LA traffic, it takes forever to get anywhere. And I thought, how else can I reach all of my customer base without having to drive around or fly interstate and do all of those kind of crazy things? And I thought, hey, I saw some people that create content on LinkedIn. Maybe I can post about the products that we sell. So I asked my boss at the time, do you mind if I do this? And he just basically looked at me blankly and asked me, was it free? To which I replied, yes, I think so. And he said, I don't care, just go and sell. And off I went. And yes, I was lucky that when I got started on LinkedIn, I was an employee. If you're an employee and think that's a bad thing, it's absolutely not, because you can try a lot more and still get paid at the end of the day. So to me, it never felt risky or scary. I knew that I was going to get paid regardless, which was a kind of nice place to experiment and get to learn the rules of the LinkedIn game. I discovered very quickly that if you just post about products and you don't build a community, you're effectively talking to yourself. So I had to think to myself, okay, where will I start building this community? And this lesson that I think everybody should learn is start off with those people closest to you. Your existing customers are a really great place to start. So existing customers, and then start working your way out. Having that right balance between the right kind of content and the right community was the way that I could fast track myself to success. And 10 years ago, nobody else on LinkedIn was really speaking in that space. And so it was nice because I could also be naive. I didn't know marketing. I didn't know branding. I didn't know that there were people out there talking about LinkedIn best practices. I was 100% focused on creating content that was in service of my customers and my audience. And I think that's the most valuable lesson that I learned back then that I hope that you can learn today in this episode, because knowing that we are always, every action that we take on LinkedIn is in service of our audience is very different from Michelle J. Raymond turning up on LinkedIn every day and going, I'm so amazing, brag, brag, buy my stuff. Nobody's interested. That's nobody, just nobody. Let's just put it out there. Nobody is interested. I was lucky because I was one of the first people that acted on this, and away I was going, and I loved it. And I built up a global community of around 6,000 followers. And I remember back then I used to sit there later at night on my phone, and you could just literally connect with hundreds of people all the time. And I would just discover them locally, globally, and just thought anyone that's interested in this industry, I'm going to connect with them and see what I can learn from them. If you don't have a strategy for how you're connecting with people on LinkedIn, how you're going to take building a community into your own hands, if you're mindlessly scrolling and thinking you're not getting any benefits out of LinkedIn, take the lesson from me. The more that you strategically create that, and that means using the search bar, the faster the results are going to come through for you. I didn't realize at the time just how much of a gift it was that I could learn how to build community and learn how to create content without the pressures of worrying about where my paycheck was coming from. And it wasn't going to prove just how valuable it was until fast forward to around March 2020 when I quit my job. And I quit on the spot for reasons that I won't go into on this episode, but we call it the Big Bang affectionately. And I had no plans of quitting my job. It happened on the spot. And the next day, we decided that I wasn't going to work for anyone else again. And Lil said to me, just come up with a business and work as hard for us as you do for everyone else. It'll be fine. And that took me a little while, but I landed on helping people learn how to use LinkedIn like I'd been doing, especially focused on the industry that I'd come from. And if you rewind the clock to March 2020, that is when the world just went crazy. We had COVID happen. We had lockdowns happen here in Australia and in other places around the world. Travel got cut off. No longer were the traditional selling methods there that we could rely on to grow businesses. I think the lesson that everybody needs to learn out of that, and I hope that we never have to live through it again, although we may, is that don't start building things on LinkedIn and leaving it until the point when you need it. I see people maybe get redundant or laid off. I've seen people that have a new course coming up or that they want to launch, and they leave it up until that last minute. And that is not the time that you want to be building things on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is slow. Things take much longer today than what they did when I started 10, 15 years ago. If you have the goal of promoting new services, promoting a new course, getting a new job, aiming for a promotion, start today. Do not leave those gaps of time and leave it to the last minute. It's the tortoise and the hare, the fable that we know it's the tortoise that always wins in that story. So now I quit and I've got my own business, and I went through this part where I went from top of the pile. Everybody in the globe knew me in the industry. Everybody on LinkedIn knew me. I had an amazing community to back down to the bottom where essentially nobody knew me for what I wanted to be known for. And this is where I started on my branding journey. And I had no idea what branding was. And if you are in the same boat and are just starting out in your business, Michelle Griffin and I wrote the LinkedIn branding book for the people that we were when we started out in our businesses. It is how to use LinkedIn to build your personal brand and your company brand, especially when you're starting out. What things do you need to pay attention to? And I remember the first year, it was so tough, honestly. I know it's not about the likes and comments and engagement, but for me, going from lots of engagement back down to zero, that hurt. I was doubting myself. I thought, when is this thing ever going to work? And my lesson to you listeners is be patient. When you're building a brand, when you're building a community, and when you're building relationships that are built on trust, they take time. They don't happen overnight. So again, this is why giving yourself those long lead times to get things up and running and built is so important. So even if your products and services aren't 100% ready, maybe your new website's not ready, don't leave building everything on LinkedIn to that last minute until that's all done. Because there is never a perfect day, I've discovered. And I had to get used to rebuilding again. I guess I have a soft spot for people that are out there that are just starting out on LinkedIn and wondering, oh my God, is this even working? The answer is yes. You just haven't been doing it for long enough. I also realized that when you're on social media platforms, you have access to the most amazing experts around the world, which is great in one way. But for me, starting out building everything, I found it really tough because I would compare myself to everybody else. And there were LinkedIn trainers that had been doing it for a lot longer than I was. And I was looking to them to see what did they do? How did they do it? And I started to copy them in some ways. And what that meant was being professional, grown-up Michelle that told everybody how much I knew about LinkedIn. I almost sounded like the LinkedIn help desk. And it's not a bad thing, but what happened was by the end of the year, the first year in 2020, when I was just starting out, I actually thought, if this is what it is, I don't like this at all. I don't think I can do this long term. And I realized that what was missing was the other parts of me that I wasn't showing. I wasn't talking to people like I actually care. And I do care genuinely about people's business growth. That is what drives me, and I wouldn't share about that. I also discovered the power of company pages, but back in 2020, no one else saw them for how I saw them. And all the other LinkedIn trainers thought I was either a little bit crazy, maybe a little bit of genius in there. No one could really tell back then. And when you're starting out and you want that respect from your peers, it's hard to stand on your own 2 feet. So if you know in your heart of hearts that what you do makes a difference for other people, then you have to back yourself and keep going. And I saw that in 2021, I went through some serious doubts. I wanted to throw away my company page niche because I couldn't quite work out how all the pieces would come together. I've got an amazing community around me that keep me on track and keep me on task. And you know how the story goes, I didn't end up throwing it away, but it was something that ultimately I'm so glad that I stuck with it. So if you are doubting your niche and it feels like if you narrow in too much that you're going to exclude opportunities to grow your business because you're not going to show everyone that you can do everything, it's not how it works. And I think I might do a whole podcast episode on how the power of niching has really helped me grow my business, because it's not that I can't sell any other services. It just means I'm known for one thing, and then I have products and services which piggyback on that reputation. And that's probably been the hardest lesson for me. So if you get stuck with that, my advice is reach out to me, book an intro call, and we can have a chat and we can talk through how I think I might be able to help you get that resolved. So fast forward into 2022 and 2023, they were pretty cool years, but I was still figuring out my business in the background. As time's gone on and I realized the power of branding and positioning and messaging and all those other terms that once upon a time were foreign to me, I now understand that combines with how good I am at selling, which for me is problem solving and helping people. The more I combine them, the more powerful it is. So I get to show up as me, that word authenticity that we use often when it comes to social media. I'm being me, working with the clients that I love. I don't have interactions with people that don't share the same values as me. And I've built a strategic community with intentions so that I don't have to deal with things that I don't like. I don't get the wrong people reaching out to me. When I'm on sales calls, it's much easier because we're almost pretty much done. They want to work with me, and it's just about finding the right time, the right price, and the right product. So yeah, it's just, I can't tell you that that's been my hardest lesson. And I've evolved over 4 years having my business, but it has made such a difference in 2024. If you want to listen to where I went with this for Operation Rebrand, I'll put the episode details in the show notes so you can go back and see what was it like and why did I choose to do a rebrand. Here we are in 2024, and I am absolutely loving what I do. I've built an amazing community. I work with the best clients and, collaborative partners as well. Those people that refer business to me. This is the power of building this community on LinkedIn. And I'm going to throw it out there. I'm a 2 times international bestseller due to collaborations. I have this podcast, which is successful. If you don't know about the LinkedIn Branding Show, it's another podcast that I co-host as well. And I'm celebrating because I just monetized my YouTube channel. And if you're not subscribed to that, at Michelle J. Raymond is where you'll find it. And if I think about all of this, these opportunities to do things that I never in a million years thought I would ever do have all happened because of my time on LinkedIn. I've met the best people. I have had so many opportunities to sell. That's still my favorite part. I'm not going to lie. I still love that part the most, but just everything that I've been able to achieve. And that includes twice this year being able to speak on international stages on company pages, going to Social Media Marketing World in San Diego and the Link Summit in Denmark. It's mind-blowing, the opportunities that come up. So if I was to summarize the lessons, it's important to get started and stay consistent and persistent. It's important to work out your brand. Who are you? Where do you stand? Who do you want to work with? Who don't you want to work with? These kinds of things are really important. And if you need some help, buy a copy of the LinkedIn Branding Book, which is on Amazon. Again, we wrote that as a gift to those people coming after us who are just starting out, who may not also be aware of this, but you're a subject matter expert, that when it comes to LinkedIn, you're starting to doubt yourself and doubt your expertise just because you don't understand how this social media for business growth thing works. If you ever get stuck, please reach out to me. That is why B2B Growth Co exists. I'm here to help you listeners, not just on this podcast, but I can work with you one-on-one to really get you unstuck, to stop you from underselling yourself, and most importantly, grow your business. So I'm going to go back to celebrating. I think I'll grab myself a Tim Tam and smash one of those down. Thank you to everyone that's been a part of my LinkedIn journey. As we wrap up the show, I am going to share one quote which I read a long time ago when I was starting out in my business, which really helped me get more out of LinkedIn. And that was, don't compare your day 1 with someone else's day 100. And for me, that was a game changer because I kept looking at those that were far ahead of me and judging my performance based on theirs. And that's just not fair. And it wasn't doing me any good. And doing that to ourselves is not helping at all. So if you're just starting out, be kind to yourself. Until next week, cheers.